So my mom was diagnosed with endometrial cancer on July 7th of 2014. And at that time, what the doctor had told me was, if you don't have all your mom's things together, you want to get those things together. And so that's what I did. I reached out to several lawyers or attorneys who I had met over the last year, and one of them happened to be David Holt. He responded the next morning at 6 a.m., so I was like, all right, so this guy's got nothing better to do. So I reached back out to him, I gave him a call, and he said that he would be able to assist my mother and myself with her will, the power of attorney, and healthcare directives. And literally the morning of my mother's surgery, he was over and finalizing all the paperwork before I took her to surgery.
So one part of signing the documents, we did it literally the morning of your mother's surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed witnesses for the documents. And we did it here at David's house. And the first place we thought was across the street. We went to a Subway.
Because they were open.
Yeah, it was an open business. It was early in the morning. We had to get it done. So we went over there, and they understandably were not very happy that we were coming in with a bunch of legal documents and we just needed a witness. And we were kind of frustrated because you just need a witness, but I understand that it's a long document. They didn't want to do it. So they were like, okay, well, what do we do now? And we thankfully drove to a bank. It was your mom's bank, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And said, hey, listen, we need to get this signed. Surgery's coming up here in a few hours. Thankfully, they did it. They witnessed it. We got it all done. But it was a few hours. It was a quick turnaround, a quick deadline for me.
When I went to pay him for his services, he said, no, I'm not going to take your Canadian money. Which...
The exchange rate was really bad.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I was handing him Monopoly money, and he didn't want that either. So I went to pay him in general, and he said he wasn't going to take payment. I was like, all right, this guy's... I knew he was cool. I thought he was really cool now. And I had to take my mom to surgery, and after surgery, or during the time when I brought her in, I was thinking to myself, well, I need to reconnect with this guy after I take my mom in, and hopefully things turn out. And my mom went into surgery. It was 2 p.m. when she started. We didn't get to see her till roughly 12:30 a.m. the next morning. We knew the surgery went well because, 8 hours later the surgeons came out and they all had smiles on their faces, so we knew it went well. There was a lot of blood loss in that in her surgery, so that's why we wanted to make sure we got everything taken together, or put together rather. And as my mom went on the mend, I met back up with David, and I asked him, so what is it that you really do? All I knew from him prior to meeting him was that he was an attorney and he practiced both healthcare law and small business law, but I didn't really know what he did.
What I like is that I didn't really know what David did either, and I'm glad that there was a follow-up. I followed up after the surgery. Hey, is everything okay? Really hope those legal documents didn't come into play, and they didn't, thank God. And what exactly do you do too? I help people work on their business, not in their business. Okay, I get that. It's a good slogan.
As we sat down and we had our conversation, he started to tell me all about the things that he was dissatisfied with as an attorney, and how kind of helping people in the navigating the healthcare system to negotiate their medical bills down for him, how he was really frustrated with some of that.
I started venting about the healthcare industry and a lot of my clients and prospective clients, because I'd get a lot of people who would call me that would need some sort of services, negotiating medical bills, working through an insurance appeal, in-network versus out-of-network, what's going on. And I tended to give out a lot of free advice, or I would simply have to turn people away because I give a quote on the legal work and it simply wasn't within their price range. And I wasn't happy about doing that. It's not something you like to do when somebody clearly needs help and you say, well, no, you gotta pay me.
And because of that, I asked him, have you thought about putting this online in a different fashion or format so the individual consumer would be empowered to know and be able to navigate the healthcare system from that, we pretty much agreed that this is something that needs to happen.
Converting a lot of the skills and advice that I have as an attorney, cutting out the illegal advice, and then training people directly, training the patient or the healthcare consumer on how to work through the really expensive and complicated healthcare system by themselves.
We put that together in a fairly short amount of time, and we're up and running within about a month. So with our first minimal viable product, which was really exciting, we got people to go through that product and to give us a bunch of feedback.
The first individuals that we had go through our system, we were really excited. It was our first one, and we didn't really know what was going to happen. This is our first time trying this, just giving all the information to an individual. And he came back and said, hey, I negotiated it down, and it was nearly 50%, like $1,000 or so. And we said, oh, that's awesome. All right, cool. It works. The system works. Then he called back a little bit later because he used some other stuff in our system. He said, actually, I got the entire amount negotiated off, which was $2,500 something dollars. And I remember, sitting in our office with David and saying, oh my gosh, we got something that works here, and this is awesome that an individual with no idea of how medical billing works, you can teach them how to really empower themselves and really get a medical bill waived if they're not in a position to pay for it. That was powerful, and that's cool. And ironically, healthcare providers and health insurance companies really don't educate you on the process at all. You just kind of go through the system, everything's okay while you're getting your treatment, and then you get this huge medical bill where your insurance company says, no, that's not covered. And there really is never a conversation about costs or how this all works. You're just in crisis mode. I need treatment, I need to go, I need to do this, and I know I have a health insurance policy, so that should be good, right? I'm paying these really expensive premiums, but that's not enough. And it's really a lot more. There are armies of attorneys, accountants, and actuaries, the A-team, the AAA, that are sitting at healthcare providers and health insurance companies figuring out ways to make more money. And generally, that is going to come from the patients. It's going to come from the people who are using healthcare, right? The healthcare consumers. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that comes from kind of confusing the patient. Anyone who's gone in for healthcare knows that it's a really confusing process, and you never really know how much everything costs and what exactly is going on. And that's not the way it should be. There should be more talk about price. There should be more talk about what is going on here. What does my health insurance policy actually cover? And not put all of that burden onto an uninformed patient or healthcare consumer. And that's really where we come in, as we bridge that gap between, not necessarily hiring an attorney and having your own army of attorneys, accountants, and actuaries, follow you around while you're going through the healthcare system, but simplifying all that information into a powerful package that you can use yourself and really empower yourself to navigate through a very expensive and complicated system. And really, in my opinion, even the playing fields and keep the system honest.
My big reason why we got started in this and why we wanted to be a part of something like this wasn't that David was just a good guy in what he was doing, which is also awesome, but was the fact that my mom, this was her second round with cancer, endometrial cancer to be specific, and the first round that she went through, the burden of the finances, she was $14,000 in debt just off of 3 specific things that that the insurance company denied her payment on. So she literally spent 4 years paying that off. And the 4 years that she went through, the financial burden and the stresses that not only she had already from work, but that she was receiving from the finances of having to pay that off over those 4 years, she literally just paid it off and then got diagnosed again. It's the stresses that I see that affect people that really shouldn't. And I think that's a big part of the reason why, at least it's a big part of the reason why I started doing this, is not just to help people in general, but to help people like my mom. And it means a lot to me that I was able to find a business partner like David that even though he's an attorney and we understand how they can come across sometimes, he's a great guy and happy to be part of it. Super excited about it all.
An individual with no idea of how medical billing works, you can teach them how to really empower themselves and really get a medical bill waived if they're not in a position to pay for it. I mean, that was powerful, and that's cool. And that's exactly what I want to do with starting this company, is be able to offer that to people without them hiring me, because I can only pick up the phone and talk so long and handle so many clients. It's the limitation of legal work, really. And I'm really excited to watch this grow.
We're really, really excited to see where this goes, and we hope you guys will join us on this journey.